Greetings and welcome to the Master Phil in Your Corner podcast. This is episode number 75, The Importance of Columbus Day. When I first started the podcast, my goal was to raise awareness about fitness, health, self-reliance, and self-protection. I then realized that people needed more. There were so many other occurrences in our modern day society that affect, adversely in most cases, the aforementioned aspects. Before we sit back and enjoy the information on today's subject, I'd like to thank our sponsors. First, I'd like to let you know that Alex Wilkie, Guy Villela, and I will be conducting a 3-hour knife and stick fighting seminar on Sunday, November 6th, 2022, from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. The price is $100 before 11/1 and $120 after. You can contact me at philrossmma1@gmail.com for more information, or simply register by remitting payments through PayPal to that same email, philrossmma1@gmail, or at Venmo at MasterPhilRoss. We also have philross.com, where we put forth one-on-one and virtual training. We have the Kettlebell Workout Library, over 100 kettlebell body weight-based workouts. We have Survival Strong, defensive tactics, strategies, combinations, and responsive techniques. American Eagle Live, there's over 200 training videos with kettlebells, body weight, martial arts, defensive tactics, knife and stick work, and technique education. Only $9.99 per month. We have the Secrets of Kettlebell Training, the basic 8 kettlebell movements: swing, deadlift, clean, snatch, press, get up, squat, and row. Over 100 movements demonstrated and explained in the hard style method of kettlebell training. A one-time fee of only $69 for full access. The Body Bell Method, the world's only body weight and dynamic tension certification based on the minimalist approach to strength, health, and fitness. The system is recognized by both ACE and NASM for continuing education credits and is listed on their respective sites. The certifications are available in person or online. P3 Training Group, plan, prepare, protect. The world is filled with uncertainty. Tensions are high as ordinary people are thrust into extraordinary situations. With this current landscape, active threat situations are unfortunately becoming routine. Sign up for your course today. Products for training, kettlebells, iso chains, books, etc., all available in our products section. I can say that in our products section of our site under Dragon Door. Join Fit Team for healthy, organic, energy-boosting weight control supplements. We also have apparel, so you can join the Fit Team or simply enjoy the products. You can contact me or simply go on to the philross.com site. Burn Along. I'm a featured instructor here on Burn Along, as well as my wife, Amy. Join me and 2,000 other instructors for only $14.95 a month. There are discounts on my Master Phil in Your Corner podcast website. Go check that out. Of course, we have Health is Wealth. It's an interactive health, fitness, and wellness platform. Read blogs, watch videos, take surveys with medical, health, and educational professionals, all for free. If you want to be number one in your area and post unlimited blogs, videos, conduct surveys and chats, it's only $59 for 15 months. Join our health and wellness community today. We have the winning mindset, also known as the wrestling mindset, or maybe I should say formerly known as the wrestling mindset. We have group and one-on-one training for athletes, executives, and anyone who wants to gain the winning edge advantage. Pay-per-view Flicks, the owners of Warrior Island, have launched fitness and wellness video training as well. And I'll be one of the featured performers there. And if you want to become a sponsor, or you just want to listen to the previous Master Phil in Your Corner podcast episodes, you can look us up on my YouTube channel, Master Phil, on Rumble, same thing, or go to the website, which is Master Phil in Your Corner. All right, so let's discuss the importance of Columbus Day. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Yes, were the Native Americans here already? Yes, the Vikings landed in the New World in Nova Scotia, all prior to Columbus discovering America. But the Vikings, most of their settlements did perish. But there's a popular position adopted by the woke left that's unabashedly hammering Christopher Columbus. But it's undeniable that the courageous journey embarked upon by Christopher Columbus is the single most important event that opened up the New World to Western culture. There is a movement observed by some states and localities to replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. It's already an international holiday celebrated on August 9th. Most people, even those Americans of Italian heritage, have no idea why the day is so significant, not only to Americans of Italian heritage, but to all Americans. Notice that I use the term Americans of Italian heritage and not Italian Americans. We are the only country that uses this type of terminology. In my opinion, these terms are employed to further divide us, but that's for another podcast. For example, I spent a decent amount of time in Brazil, Sao Paulo, San Mateo, Rio de Janeiro, Jaguare, to name a few. As I cast my eyes upon the crowd, I noticed a cornucopia of skin tones, hair color, and facial features. Along with the obvious indigenous peoples, there were others whose ancestors hailed from Spain, Africa, Italy, Portugal, Japan, Germany, China, etc. Many were a mix of the aforementioned, and the crowds were very, very similar to what we have in our country. The group that I didn't see were the hyphenated Brazilians. No matter their background, every single person considers themselves Brazilian. Christopher Columbus and the US are still being hammered regarding slavery, yet there were many more slaves in Brazil compared to the USA, about 6 times as many. 6 times the amount of slaves were shipped to Brazil that were shipped to the US. Oh, by the way, the death rate in Brazil was much higher than in the US. Also, slavery was legal in Brazil until 1888. That's 23 years that the US abolished it. So until May 13th, 1888, to be exact. You know, it's a sad thing. However, prejudice in Brazil does take on a different flavor. It's much more related to social status than to a racial origin or ancestry. Additionally, the members of the woke army and social justice warriors attempt to hold Christopher Columbus, man who landed on our shores 530 years ago, to the standards of today. Kind of irresponsible. Additionally, they perpetuate the notion that the US is responsible for slavery. It happened way before we were even a twinkle in anyone's eye. All countries have had it. I'm not making an excuse, just stating a fact. It's funny how people keep screaming about the injustices that happened in the US 150 years ago. And yes, slavery is, was, and always will be disgusting. But they conveniently turn a blind eye to what's going on now. According to Dr. Henry Louis Gates, he reported between 1525 and 1866, the entire history of the slave trade to the New World. 12.5 million Africans were shipped to the New World. Only about 388,000 were shipped to North America. And now today, like right now, today in Africa, there are an estimated 9.2 million people living in modern day slavery. But the Western politicians do not speak out against this injustice. CNN reported that 20,000 children were believed to be working as slaves on Lake Volta in the fishing industry in Ghana, Africa. Slavery exists in other countries that suffer from poverty, including China, India, Pakistan, North Korea, and more. However, these facts and worldwide situations are never mentioned. Okay, enough backdrop. Let's get back into Columbus Day. There's a ridiculous amount of negative sentiment regarding the celebration of Columbus Day. But what is the significance? What is the real story? Why do so few people know what really happened? Why is this not taught in schools? I'm not trying to equivocate the terrible injustice perpetrated on American blacks through slavery or to the incredible slaughter of the Jews in Germany during the Holocaust. But Americans should know about the single largest racially motivated lynching in the US, and it was done to Italian immigrants. Most people are not aware that Italian immigrants also were the second largest group that was most hanged by the Ku Klux Klan. Most people think that we are celebrating the incredible accomplishments of the trips made to the New World 530 years ago. Many of his detractors had no idea what incredible risk he undertook and many of them wouldn't be able to even row a boat across a lake. What was the true reason for the holiday being proclaimed in the United States? Is there some other reason? If so, why do so few people know about it and no one talks about it? I recently heard the famed actor Chaz Palminteri speak about the subject on October 4th during an interview on the Bernie and Sid show. God rest Bernie's soul. We just lost him to a bout of cancer the night of 10/5. I really enjoyed him. Anyway, referred to Chaz, though, was speaking with Sid, and he referred to the importance of Columbus Day and why it's important for us as Americans to know why it came to be. Let me take a little sip here. Oh, this is my elixir. This elixir is great. I have apple cider vinegar, splash of honey, lemon slice, heat it up, boom. Great for boosting the immune system and coating the throat. So, Columbus Day was born from the single largest, most egregious, racially motivated lynching in U.S. history. On March 14, 1891, a crazed mob stormed New Orleans prison and brutally murdered 11 of the Italian immigrant men. The New Orleans police chief, David Hennessy, was gunned down on his way home from an evening hanging out with a friend. A friend heard the gunshots and ran to him. According to the only witness, his friend, his last words were "Dagos." That's a racial slur used for Italians, along with guinea, wop, greaseball, several others. This resulted in 19 Italian immigrants being arrested. The evidence was extremely flimsy, and there were 6 acquittals and 3 mistrials. Yet the men, including a 14-year-old boy, were thrown back into jail. Thrown back in. They were acquitted, mistrials, blah, 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 yet they were thrown back in. And then the attack on the prisoners ensued. They hung and beat to death these 11 Italians. The Italian parliament, under the guidance of Prime Minister Francesco Crispi, cut diplomatic ties with the United States. Our president at the time was Benjamin Harrison, and in an effort to amend the relationship and ease the tensions, he brokered a deal and offered October 12th as the day to honor Americans of Italian heritage and Italian Americans alike. He proclaimed it Columbus Day in 1892, and it wasn't until 1934 when the holiday was officially recognized. It's funny that now people of this generation want to abolish the day due to racism. Yet Columbus Day was proclaimed in an effort to ease the disgusting, racially motivated act perpetrated against the Italian immigrants. Can we afford to forget this? Why is the real history not being taught in schools? Also, to get a more in-depth look at what happened, you may want to watch the movie Vendetta. It's a pretty good portrayal. What's more, we've heard plenty about the Japanese immigrants and the many hardships placed upon the German immigrants here in the US during World War II. But what happened to the Italian immigrants? According to the Washington Examiner, by January 1942, at least 600,000 Italians and Italian Americans, or as I say, Americans of Italian heritage, some of them legal residents or even US citizens, were classified as enemy aliens. Enemy aliens. Sounds like a PC name, terminology, right? About 1,600 Italian citizens were put into internment camps in Missoula, Montana, and on Ellis Island, the place most of them came through. As a result of security concerns in coastal areas, about 10,000 Italian Americans were forced to relocate from their homes along the California coast and mandated to move inland. People don't understand the abject racism and prejudice that the early Italian immigrants faced in this country. There were many boxers from the late 1800s and 1900s that had to anglicize their names to secure fights, and many others had to change their names to get jobs. All of my grandparents and great-grandparents were born in Italy. How is my legal name Philip G. Ross III? I never changed it. I was born with the name. It's not a very Italian last name. Fun fact, I did one of those 23andMe, and I was always thinking of my heritage was 100% Italian. I found out that I'm 85% Italian and 15% African. This is no real surprise. All my ancestors were born in the southern seafaring towns of Italy, of Calabria, Naples, and Bari. So you ask the importance of Columbus Day and wonder what those who know are up in arms. Those who actually know about this are so up in arms about the abolition of the day being celebrated in America. It was proclaimed in an effort to fight racism, and now it's being abolished in the name of racism. How does this make any sense? Don't get me wrong. I'm not whining about what happened to my ancestors or looking for any special treatment, because we can only live in the era that we're in. But I want to put things in perspective and advise people about the history of our country and the ability of this young experiment in democratic rule to change, adapt, and grow to be a more perfect union. Thank you for listening. Master Phil, strength and honor.